Show me your hand.
Boy, that's low.
Yup. This movie has been out for 5 days, and it's just as polarizing, if not more, than the reception Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms received when that dropped just a few weeks ago. But what's up, Dynasty? And today I'll be giving you my quick thoughts and opinions on Injustice, the animated movie. If I could be here for an hour, tearing into just about anything and everything, not really exaggeration, I could, but I'm going to try my best to keep this as concise and to the point as possible. You feel me? You feel me. Spoilers are bound to be mentioned, so you have been warned. Gonna talk spoilers. If you've not seen the movie, what are you doing? Go watch it. Without further ado, let's break it down, and well, let's get into it. So, I don't know about you, but I didn't expect the film to open with Superman just casually proclaiming, "We're pregnant!" Mostly you, but I helped in his bedroom. Safe to say, that wouldn't be the last time I was caught off guard, especially once the opening art plays itself out up front. This movie's a fucking mess. It's been years since I've actually read the year 1 through 5 comics and played the actual Injustice story mode, but make no mistake, despite sharing a mix of elements from both the comics and the video games, this movie 110% takes its own liberties and tries cluttering everything it can into an hour and 18 minutes. 5 comics, 2 full-length games. And sadly, when said liberties consist of killing off fan favorites and shifting major plot details, best believe people aren't going to be too satisfied. That means you, that means me, that means the vast majority, at least from what I'm seeing online. Now, not even 4 minutes into the movie, we're seeing animosity teased between both Superman and Batman. Toss Lois getting kidnapped by Harley Quinn and the Joker, and the Injustice story of old is back and on display on the big screen, or depending if you're like me, like a 60-inch TV. Now, exciting, right? Of course, but don't get too hyped, because not even 3 minutes later, at the 7-minute mark in this film, yes, 7 minutes into the movie, the one, the only, Flash is killed. And this isn't an epic warrior's death of any kind. Instead, it's simply, the Flash getting murdered by a dead body. And not just any dead body, but the remains of Scarecrow, aka Dr. Jonathan Crane. Now, in search for Lois, the Flash enters a control room, finds a mixture of fear toxins and laughing gas from Scarecrow's lifeless remains, and somehow that works itself into Flash's body, which then forces him to hallucinate and struggle moving. And not even like 3 or 4 seconds later, a random buzzsaw just shoots out from a jack-in-the-box that's sitting on a table right in front of him, and it just slices the Flash's head right off. Yep, 7 minutes in, the Flash is dead. Best believe that pretty much killed a lot of my expectations moving forward. Biased, maybe. But I was hoping, with this being the Injustice multiverse, this wouldn't be the last of the Flash, you know? Because surely, like Mortal Kombat, death isn't permadeath. Surprise, he's never seen again in the movie. Now, the best part about all of this is the fact that not one time throughout the rest of the movie is the Flash's death mentioned. The Flash dies 7 minutes into the movie. No one talks about it. And it's hilarious because the Flash, it's almost like the Flash is so quick by design. That must mean that everyone just gets over his death just really fast too. Maybe that's what WB was thinking, because honestly, it makes 0 sense. And this is something that we'll continue to see throughout the film. Kung Lao premiere skin for The Flash in Injustice 3. That's gotta be hashtag confirmed. So, yeah, that left a very bad taste in my mouth. So when deaths share 0 significance to the rest of the Justice League and are occurring 10 minutes into screen time, surely this movie's pacing can't be that bad, right? Wrong. This movie is all over the place, which is very reminiscent of Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms, and funny enough, they share the same producer too. So slowly, all of this is starting to make some sense, right? Cyrax's MK3 Fatality Bomb destroys all of Metropolis, and we get to the interrogation room stared down between Joker, Batman, and Superman, and thankfully this is done to pretty much perfection. The heart rip is just as satisfying as ever, and we even get a cheeky one-liner from Joker mentioning how, now that's a punchline. And speaking of the Joker, I gotta say, some of the voice acting is definitely different, but it isn't necessarily a bad difference. They didn't get everyone from the actual Injustice games, but it is definitely tolerable for what it is. Nothing groundbreaking by any means, but I really didn't mind anyone's voice in particular. Harley Quinn's voice could be a bit painful from time to time. She starts sobbing on and off about her dad Puddin for like 10 seconds, but thankfully, our ears are spared because remember, deaths don't really matter in this movie. We move on after he dies in like 10 seconds. So, Puddin, 10 seconds later. Who's Puddin? He's not dead. Who's Joker? But on a side, why did Batman even allow her to work for the good guys? Like, what's the reasoning behind this? Is this explained? I don't know if it was. I don't think it was. Are you just assuming she's always going to be a good guy now, even though just 8 minutes ago she was knocking out Superman's lady? That is why we are in the situation we're in the movie? Things that keep me up at night. Just saying. So you see, in general, that alone had me pretty upset. In the comics, in the video games, we see death from time to time, and it's usually handled on a believable and respectable scale. But the opening 15 minutes legit killed a few big-name players, and business just kind of went on as usual. Trust me. I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. I'm a Mortal Kombat fan. That prepares you for things like death, but this movie just took it to a whole another scale. How do you kill someone like the Flash, but never mention that after it happens? Like, the impact just doesn't carry any weight, and overall, these deaths, they just seem like forced fodder, and really, it comes across super hollow. Thankfully, we get one death that, despite being tweaked, allows Batman to show some type of compassion in a parallel to Superman's loss of Lois. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Throughout the movie, we're also introduced to a small subplot between Green Arrow and, you guessed it, Harley Quinn that really doesn't do much at all. Despite that, though, I did appreciate the comedic relief dynamic between the two characters because, honestly, each time an arrow appeared on screen and ended up forcing someone to fall asleep, I popped a chuckle under my breath. So, hey, thanks for that. I enjoyed that for what it was. It wasn't too crazy enjoyable, but it was appreciated. I guess that's why we like Harley. We warm up to her because she teases Green Arrow, I suppose. Oh, and where the hell are Aquaman and Shazam throughout this movie? Just saying. They appear for maybe like 45 seconds about 20 minutes into the movie, and they kind of just dip and aren't seen again. Pretty sure they just don't agree with Superman, and they're like, yeah, nah, later, dude. And that's the last we see of them. And it's a shame, too, because personally, I was really looking forward to watching as morbid as it sounds, a teenager get lasered by a certain guy with a cape, reminiscent of what's been showcased in the initial Injustice game. It's just funny because Batman warns Wonder Woman of the potential evil that this broken, corrupt Superman contains, and her response to that around this time is simply just, Superman can make a perfect world. So 20 minutes post Lois' death, and Wonder Woman is already on the prowl for Superman and will be loyal to him moving forward. Heck, she even tries to kiss the dude, and ultimately she gets rejected, which, funnily enough, sets the stage for her change of heart and ties into the redemption arc at the end of the movie. So he curves her, and she's like, wait a second, you're a bad guy. Let's stop you. It's so funny how this works out. I'm telling you, this movie is a fucking trip. I will say this, though. They did handle the balance between the two main characters pretty well from the opening scene to maybe about, 30 minutes into the film. At the very least, it's made apparent that both Superman and Batman are different heroes with different ideals, and they're both struggling to come to grips with a compromise that doesn't completely piss the other one off. It's the classic retelling, and honestly, it's not too shabby. For instance, like I mentioned earlier, we get Batman taking the good guy approach in dialogue with not only Superman, but Wonder Woman early on. As, the plot heats up, we even see the military invade Superman's father's home. We get the perspective from not only Superman, but Batman too, and Batman is warning the president, like, hey, Superman's planning on turning his back on the military, and eventually, when the two are face to face just minutes after this is discussed, Batman still tries to explain his perspective to Superman. So hey, I really did enjoy hearing Batman try his best to convince a cracked out, corrupted, power-hungry, evil Superman on why he shouldn't be the judge, the jury, the executioner, and somehow it kind of initially works. there's like a small truce made, but even then Batman's like, tug of war is going back and forth for control and power and who's right, who's wrong. The the truce isn't really a truce. So despite wanting peace, Batman doesn't fully oblige. And it's funny because it cuts to, I believe, like a TV, news report of Wonder Woman apparently killing thousands in the DPRK. So again, it's death really is everywhere in this movie, and boy, is it handled as consistent as McDonald's ice cream machine at 2 a.m. on a Friday night. It is, it's not consistent, it's not taken serious, there's no depth, there's no weight to any of this. It's literally just so much being thrown at you, and you're supposed to care, I guess. So, but yeah, I really did enjoy seeing the balance between both Batman and Superman throughout the movie. It was great to see. I appreciate also the Damian Wayne and Nightwing arc for what it was too, but seeing Nightwing's death being courtesy of the actual baton and not his neck cracking on a rock on the pavement, not gonna lie, really kind of also left a really bad taste in my mouth, because that's one thing that I think is very memorable from the comics. Like, that is ingrained into my head for about a decade now. And even though it's slightly accurate here, I'm using air quotes, right? Slightly accurate. Just knowing that it's not 100% what it could have been just makes me feel a little bit cheated, because what was the point of changing such a small, minuscule, pointless detail? You know what I mean? Why not just have the rock be on the floor, make the diehards happy? But no, I guess just baton to the temple, more than enough. It was nice seeing a Deadwing resurrection, but I 100% just did not expect to see that in this movie at all. So again, that really, all of it just kind of seemed out of left field, and I'm not sure it was really needed versus that time being allocated to building up maybe the plot or someone else's depth, their story. But hey, Deadwing! Quote made me laugh too. He always blocks it. Always. It's like, apparently not, Damien. Apparently you fucked this one up. So Batman was right. Maybe you're not worthy of redemption after all, Damien. But yes, the arc between Nightwing, Damian Wayne, I loved it. I loved it. Don't know why The Rock wasn't there, but it is what it is. Gotta also mention, I was pretty bummed to see the likes of Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Bane, Deadshot, and Solomon Grundy low-key kind of wasted. When the heroes were in the asylum facing off against the prisoner baddies, I kind of had some high hopes for a long extended fight scene, but it really didn't last too long. Probably no more than 20-30 seconds. And honestly, I think every single one of them got killed off with zero real mention, purpose, or significance. It was kind of just in there to be in there and fodder. Death for the sake of death. Catwoman making an appearance was cool, but again, wasn't for more than maybe 45 seconds, a minute initially when she made her first showcase. And hey, Ra's al Ghul, though that was a nice change of pace, and I honestly really want to get behind that because he is someone I want to see make his debut so bad in the future if there is an Injustice 3. However, I just don't know what possessed Superman to trust a villain like that, because I think most, if not all of us, saw what was going to happen very early on. I'm just saying, if this man is pleading his support and loyalty, again, air quotes, support and loyalty to Superman, there's probably a catch. And of course, there was. Amazo, the big bad that I'm sure pretty much nobody was really expecting. Now, it was right before this time that were explained, funny enough, what the multiverse is in the Injustice lore. But guess what? It's only for 20 seconds. The key crucial reason why the entire Injustice universe exists, multiverses, gets 20 seconds at the 43-minute mark at that. Don't tell me this movie was just perfectly plotted out and they had more than enough time and everything is perfect and makes sense, because 43 minutes in to explain what a multiverse is? What? Okay. Now, one of the best scenes in this movie was by far the chess game between Superman and Mr. Terrific. I really did enjoy hearing Mr. Terrific's breakdown on Superman's whole logical thinking, because hey, if you want to get rid of some guns because they apparently kill people, why not get rid of cigarettes? Because guess what? They kill thousands and thousands and thousands too. So it was really funny here, make some really great points and really just question the logic this big bad had, because no one else had the balls to really step up to Superman and just like give it to him. He was checking him, like literally in the game of chess in person. So I really did love that scene. It probably was my favorite scene in the entire movie. Shout out to Mr. Terrific. That dude stole the show every time he was on camera. Now let's talk about the Fortress of Solitude scene. That's something we gotta discuss because, well, you know, again, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Death that may or may not exist. Now, Batman has the Atom enter Superman's skull with a small piece of kryptonite to subside him. However, Ra's al Ghul pulls up with his mercenaries and begins to interfere with the Atom's plot to stop Superman. It's then Ra's al Ghul slips some radiation gas into Superman's head, and that slowly kills the Atom inside of, you guessed it, Superman's head. You know what's funny, though, about this whole situation? The kryptonite shard is still in Superman's head, isn't it? Did it dissolve? Was that mentioned? I'm just saying. I don't know how that alone did not stop him and kill him because it's apparently lodged in Superman's brain. And speaking of death, it's around here. Superman's dad gets the Batman Pearl Necklace treatment off a ricochet arrow from, you guessed it, Green Arrow. Now, the arrow accidentally strikes Mr. Kent after Superman rejects it off his hand, stabbing him in the chest. And without any restraints, second thoughts, Superman just goes to town and lasers Green Arrow. Now, sadly, this was not done as epic as the comics. Instead of beating Green Arrow into a bloody pulp until he can be restrained, we get 2 seconds of lasers and bam, the team leaves. Nothing more, nothing less. Thankfully, though, we do get a nice dialogue between Superman and his father, but other than him asking Superman to realize it was an accident, not much is really said. So, the death of his father sets him off on the path of seemingly no return, and the finale takes place shortly after. Stop committing violent acts or I will stop you. Police state gets created, but it didn't really last too long at all. So, for me, that sucked. Seeing Green Arrow just die, and again, like the Flash, not even 2 seconds later. On to the next scene. Are you kidding me? In the comics, that is such an epic part of the comics. You should see those photos of the bloody fist Superman has, and none of that is showcased here. What a missed opportunity. So again, they took so many things from the games, the comics, but they missed out on so many things they should have included. And of course, this Green Arrow's death, I honestly think was one of them. Now, eventually, we make our way to the final 15 minutes of the movie, and things are off to the races. The final battle between Amazo allowed for a few new faces to appear, even if it was only for 30 seconds. Still pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, though. I really do think that Hawkman probably deserved more than just a quick 2-second off-camera decapitation. At least Cyborg kind of got to put up a fight for a few seconds before ultimately being ripped apart and torn to shreds, but it is what it is. Thankfully, Plastic Man, Catwoman, Harley, Mr. Terrific, and Batman had better odds than the first two I mentioned. All while this fight against Amazo is going down, they're cutting back and forth between this fight and the Ra's al Ghul Robin fight, which was honestly pretty decent. Shout out to the power of Deadwing, because without the exorcist possession of Damian Wayne from Nightwing, aka Deadwing, who knows if he survives against his upset evil villain grandfather. Now, the final fight and introduction of Earth 1 Superman was honestly pretty epic. Seeing the super moves from both Injustice 1 and 2 getting performed through the movie, this animation, it was honestly a really welcome surprise. However, gotta say, I was really hoping Earth 1 Superman could hold his own without the need for the other universes, multiverses, Lois to come into play and, hey, save the day. Regardless, though, we finished the animated movie with Superman accepting the fate he's created with his actions, very similar to the original Injustice Gods Among Us video game. This time, though, we finally get the kiss that was teased, but it's not between Superman and Wonder Woman. It's between Batman and Catwoman, and just like that, the movie ends. We don't even get to see Superman getting taken to the actual prison, so Interesting stuff. Now, on a side note, I want to say a massive shout out to Plastic Man because honestly, he filled that comedic relief role halfway throughout the film, especially once Green Arrow was killed off. And he really did remind me of how Johnny Cage was casted and carried himself all throughout the recent Mortal Kombat animated movies. So, out of all the new additions that aren't necessarily featured in the Injustice games, I really did think that Plastic Man probably did steal the show. And honestly, I want to see him in Injustice 3 more than probably anyone else in this movie, including the likes of Ra's al Ghul, etc. So overall, I really think this movie suffers the exact same fate as Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms, where really the runtime wasn't long enough. The entire plot is forced into a single animated project, forcing to sacrifice most, if not all, if we're being honest, character development outside of anyone that's not named Superman. And it's a shame. It makes the movie feel hollow and lacking any real emotional depth with a cast that's as iconic as the Justice League. Like, this is DC, man. You think with not one, but 2 games in 5 different years of source material, Warner Brothers, WB, could have found a way to properly streamline this, but nope, not the case. Yet again, and I think universally most people believe that the Injustice storyline is worthy of more than an hour to be showcased. But hey, beggars unfortunately can't be choosers. As ideal as an HBO Max animated TV series could be, we're left with what we got. And if anything, if you really want to gauge what an evil, corrupt, power-hungry Superman is really like, at the very least, we still got the video games and comics to appease the diehards who, like me, probably expected a bit more out of the Injustice animated movie. So overall, I think it's worth checking out, but I'm not sure if I'd go back and watch it again. Like the Mortal Kombat movie, there was honestly a lot of potential there. So much damn potential. But I just feel like it was too much, too fast. And because of that, I gotta give it a solid 5 out of 10. It's an okay movie for what it is, but by no means is this gonna knock you out of your seat. And if you're somebody who's obsessed and can't get enough of DC Comics, the Injustice series, I'm not sure if you're gonna be satisfied with this movie. I mean, come on, they killed the Flash in 7 minutes and no 12-year-olds got their brains lasered by Superman. How could I rate this higher than a 5? How? Anyways, though, what do y'all think of the new Injustice animated movie? Did you enjoy it for what it was like I did? Are you upset? Are you satisfied? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you've been trying to find Mortal Kombat 9 on PC, but you can't because it's no longer being sold officially through Steam anymore, don't worry, because clicking the link down below, you can purchase an MK9 Steam key from G2A.com. Buy that key from that website. From there, redeem that key in your Steam account, and just like that, you got MK9 with all the DLC, even though it's no longer being sold officially through Steam anymore. So a nice little workaround to get MK9 from G2A. Again, though, what do you guys think of this movie? I just don't know how you kill all these big name characters, and there's literally like 0 follow-up on any of it. It's insane. It's worse than Mortal Kombat, man. Love you guys so much. Drop a like if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.
Yeah. 87 on it, crack, but I'm